Hans and Scotty, 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. Jaxson Dart, the second Corner Canyon quarterback to go in the first round of the NFL draft. And another one on his way to New York. This one to play for the Giants. But I know one guy who's really fired up for this. He goes way back with Jaxson Dart. Riley Jensen, kind enough to join us. Riley, how are you?
Hey, Riley.
What's up, my dudes? What is going on?
Man, I miss hearing that voice.
How are you?
I'm doing great. Man. I'll tell you this. I'm an underrated Uber driver for my children right now at home. I need a 5-star rating. I need something that says I'm doing a good job because all I do is drive around and watch my kids play sports. And it's a thankless job. It's a thankless job.
And they don't tip very well, do they?
No. They take and they take and they take. I feel like a bad version of the Giving Tree, you know. Well, I'm going to be a stump before this is all over.
Hey, speaking of your kids, one of them just got drafted, which is pretty incredible, man. Maybe you can get a tip out of Jaxson Dart.
He's not my kid, but man, that is a good kid. And, you know, Brandon and Kara Dart have done a great job. And what an exciting time for Team Dart, right? Like, that's I think I read something today on Twitter that only 3 kids out of the state of Utah have ever been drafted in the first round. Zach Wilson, Jaxson Dart, and Jim McMahon. And apparently Roy High School and Corner Canyon High School are pretty much dominating that whole deal. So you got to go to one of those 2 schools.
What is it about Jaxson Dart's game that if you're the GM of the Giants, you're like, not only is he our guy, but we're going to trade up to get him? Obviously the skill set's there, but you know him personally. Talk about the intangibles that he brings to the table.
Well, I listen, all of these guys, you know, it's funny because people are banging on Shadur right now. They're banging on different quarterbacks. I mean, dude, these guys are incredible athletes. Like, I mean, there's not it's so incredible how good these guys are skill set wise. I think what sets Jaxson apart, and this is why I went on the record yesterday. I just said he's going to be the best quarterback in the class, and it won't be close. Is there's just no way to measure his leadership. When he walks into the room, like, he's the alpha, like, he's the guy, and there's things that he can do that, like, normal kids can't do. I don't think people understand how much he really put together that roster at Ole Miss and recruiting guys and bringing guys in and using social media. I even think in some ways, like, he's really loosened up Lane Kiffin. Lane Kiffin is not – he's not the easiest guy. He's like an onion. Like, you have to peel off the layers, and it takes some time to get to know him, right? And he's not easy to get close to, and he's close to Lane Kiffin. I mean, you ask anybody that's ever been around Lane Kiffin, there's not very many people that are close to him. They're very close, and I think that takes a special personality. I think that's someone who can do special things in a locker room. And, you know, more than anything, like, if a quarterback's not relatable in the locker room, that's really, really hard. That's a hard thing to put the leadership on someone like that. So I think that's the differentiator. I think the other thing is when you watched him play against Georgia, when you watched him play against Arkansas, when you watched him play this SEC schedule, he can put it in a tight window, and he's got an incredible release. I watched the John Gruden thing the other night. I think Brandon and Kara Dart were actually really happy that he criticized him about, like, not getting down and stepping out of bounds, because they've been saying it for 4 years to him. Like, dude, step out of bounds. You know, unless this is the Super Bowl or the national championship game, let's start stepping out of bounds a little bit. So it's been fun to watch the progression. I mean, I think the first time I ever did a quarterback session with him, he was 12. I remember exactly where we were in Layton. We were up at a soccer field that was, like, west of I-15. And we were trying to get him to throw up and over the goalposts a little bit, to get his release a little bit higher. And when I was talking to him last night, I was like, man, we're a long ways from that little park in Layton aren't we? And he's like, you better believe it, man. And it was just kind of fun, man. It's been kind of fun to watch that whole picture and watch that whole thing develop.
Hey, Riley, you've been watching a lot of quarterbacks through the years. You've been a great quarterback yourself. What is the best QB comp on the high end for a guy like Jaxson Dart?
I think him and his team have done a really good job of comparing himself to like Jalen Hurts. He's not as big, and he's not as oh man, I'm having some CTE moments right here. What's the quarterback's name for Buffalo? What is going on with
Josh Allen?
Josh Allen. He's not as big and he's not as strong as Josh Allen. I actually think that there's some comparables there because the arm strength, the ability to play in bad weather games, and then they're sneaky good at running. Jaxson Dart doesn't give you all the feels of Lamar Jackson when he runs the ball, and neither does Josh Allen. But, man, they are so efficient in running the ball and making plays with their feet. It's a little the other comparable a little bit is like Ben Roethlisberger, like these big, strong-armed guys that also can make plays in the pocket with their feet, and they're smart enough to make plays in the pocket and then keep their eyes downfield and make throws when they need to, or get down the field and make a good play in the running game. And, you know, I think there's been some surprise. I mean, I think Jackson had 1,451 rushing yards at Ole Miss. I mean, people don't look at it and go, "Oh, this is a really good runner," but he's a really good runner. And so I think those are the comps that I look at a little bit, along with Jalen Hurts. But I think he's got a little more upside than Jalen Hurts athletically.
I know you spent some time with Norm Chow as a grad assistant at NC State. You were around Phillip Rivers when he was playing there, and then obviously went on to have an incredible career at the NFL. Obviously, skill set's different, but do you see some of the makeup of what made Phillip great? Do you see some of that in Jaxson?
Yes. Now, look, Phillip, as much as I love Phillip, I mean, I remember when he was a freshman at North Carolina State, we were having conversations about, like, okay, this throwing motion, what are we going to do about it? And we were like, does his arm hurt? No. Can he make the short throws? Yes. Is he accurate on the deep ball? Yes. Well, we ain't changing it. But Jaxson doesn't need to change anything. I mean, dude, his deep ball, I mean, if you go through his 3 years at Ole Miss, I have a little bit of quarterback envy on his deep ball because I was a check down Charlie, right? Like, I was the guy that was trying to check down because I knew I could throw the short ball, but my deep ball was not nearly as accurate as his. That's where Jaxson and Phillip are comparable. That deep ball touch, the ability to layer the football in between a safety and a linebacker is really good. And then I think, you know, I totally forgot about the Phillip Rivers, like, component. Phillip Rivers was the single best leader that I've ever been around in my entire life. I'm not sure that I can put Jaxson Dart there, but I'm not around all the conversations like I was with Phillip. But Jackson's pretty good that way, and that might be something that really sets him apart. I mean, people loved playing. If you talk to Eric Weddle, if you talk to some of the guys that played with Phillip Rivers, they absolutely loved him. And when I talk to players that play with Jaxson Dart, they give me the same report. They give me the same thing.
Well, this is going to be interesting. Scotty and I talked about it in the first segment. It's going to be interesting for Jaxson because this puts a lot of extra pressure on Jaxson because not only did they take Jaxson, but they forsook Shedeur Sanders. So people are always going to compare it. They're going to look at Shedeur. Is he having success? If not, okay, well, we hit the lottery. If he has amazing success and Jaxson is just kind of flatlined, it's going to be a lot of pressure on him. So I hope he can handle the pressure because I think that I'm hoping he can be as good as you say he will be and as good as he's been in college. But it's going to be a pressure-packed situation for him, Riley.
Oh, I don't think there's any question, but I think, I mean, listen, Hans, you played in the NFL. Quarterbacks that I've been around, like whether it's true or not, we think we can handle those situations. Time will tell on that kind of stuff, right? You got to be able to play under pressure, and he's going to New York, and there's not a bigger pressure cooker anywhere in the world than New York. But I mean, I started looking through some comparable draft picks. You look at Jordan Love, you look at Aaron Rodgers, like these guys were drafted at the bottom of the first round, and they've been pretty good. And I mean, I think Jaxson Dart has a chance to be really good. I would love to see a scenario where maybe he's like Penix Jr., where maybe he doesn't start for the first half of the season, and then he gets to come in and he starts to play. He's got some veterans around him. He's got some different pieces around him that could be a little bit better situation than what I thought Zach Wilson was in. And so I'm hoping for the best. It's pretty incredible what Eric Kerr's done there. I mean, he's got 2 first-round draft picks at quarterback now in not a very long time, and guys that have signed at Ohio State, one that's going to Texas A&M, one that signed at BYU. Holy crap, man. Corner Canyon's putting out as many quarterbacks as anybody in the country.
Well, Riley, you're the best, man. Appreciate you joining us on short notice, and let's do this again here soon.
I love it. You guys are so good at what you do. Thanks for what you bring to sports radio. I love listening to you guys.
Oh, man.
Back at you, Riley. Thank you.
I love that dude so much.
Big
Riley Jensen, right here on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.